Good evening, everyone. Welcome along. Monday night, 8 p.m. The Monday night, the Online Darts Live Lounge returns. We're not going to lie, we are a little bit tired. We're a little bit bruised. We're battered, but we're here. It's been a long weekend, boys. Pro Tour today as well. How are we all?
Knackered. Get me out of here. No, I'm joking.
All good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was tucked up in bed nice and early last night. I don't know what the problem is, gents.
Get rid of him.
Yeah. No, look, it's all been good. Seniors was good. Pro Tour action returns. Never a dull moment in darts at all. I saw great sides of Mark Webster at the weekend. The adulation and ranting in the press room. The sofa almost went everywhere. It was great.
It's all right. You could have been the only one of 40 to celebrate the goal in the pub, only for it to be disallowed. All right, Lee.
Oh, sorry, was you talking?
No.
Dart show, gents. Remember, it's a dart show.
Oh, we're dart show tonight, are we, Boise?
I warned you earlier. That's exactly what he'd say.
However, what I will say, though, is someone predicted the winner today, and Mr. Bars slapped me right off when I put my prediction in.
Did you go Luke as well?
Yes.
Oh, you fucker. So did I.
No, that never happened. We've never both had the same prediction in me, right?
I'm genuinely going to see your prediction. When I joined, he's like, oh, you might as well have a pick then. Are you going for from here? And I went, oh, fancy a bit of Luke today.
Oh, no. Mr. Bars soon called me out and said that Andy Bolton had beat Luke Humphries because I beat Luke Humphries in round one.
But let's go into the chat room. Tommy is in. How we doing? Declan, all good. JV, Jake is in. How you doing? Love the darts. Back with us. Paul is in. Long time no see. Carl, how we doing? ABM Florin Naz is in. Debo says Luke is my favourite. Nice. Matt, how we doing? James. Boys are still sulking.
Paul, I'm still not speaking to you.
We'll talk about Jeff Smith, no doubt, shortly. I'm just shrinking one of the video files from the weekend as well so we can play a bit of a clip. Shall we start with the seniors, boys, as it's fresh in everyone's minds and memories?
Why not?
So, first of all, the World Seniors TV darts is finished for 2023, and it has been some year for the soldier. Leonard Gates, 3 on the spin, holds 3 of the 4 titles, and is very much the man to beat right now, gents.
He's just been too good. The fact of the matter is he's just been way too good. He's won 14 out of 15 games on TV this year in the seniors. He's won 26 out of 29 matches overall. He's just been unbelievably consistent. And that's what you get when you're playing week in, week out, all over the place.
Yeah, look, he didn't look in any real danger. Even the game against Cameron, you just felt that he would be the one to make the move. That Cameron didn't really threaten the Gates throw as much, but Leonard was always peppering him there and abouts. And David Cameron took out a couple of big shots. I remember there was a 76 when Gates was poised on his throw and things like that. He always looked likely.
Yeah, we talked about it a lot with the likes of Price and MVG in the PDC. Get them early, or you just don't get them. And it seems like the one performance that Lennon Gates didn't perform was the first round, and the opportunity was for Tollin to get him. But after that, I'm with you, the Cameron Dane was close, and then down into the evening, some of the store lines looked closer. Then actually his performances were quite dominant then throughout. But it was get him early or don't get him at all.
But as a whole, the tournament itself, first time at the Barbican, thoughts on the venue?
Well, it worked. Not quite the usual that we're used to in terms of what we do, because we absolutely love a press room that's actually in the venue. We've had that 2 of the last 3. We can physically see the stage. It's been quite a nice experience. The tavern is just something else where you just sat on there on the sidelines. But yeah, look, in terms of what you need for the public, the layout, there's plenty of access in there. The bar wasn't too busy, I don't think, at times. It worked.
Yeah, completely. I thought it was good.
Drew.
Nice city as well.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I saw the hotel and the venue and the co-op next door.
Yeah, the co-op next door that I write profit from everyone who was working at Barbican this weekend. But yeah, well, I'm in agreement with both of you. I think it worked very well. A lot of positives from the weekend, from the seniors as a whole, and ideal way to sort of wrap up the TV tournaments for the seniors. I think with a very good tournament. I thought the Saturday the crowd were very, very good. Our standard Sunday does always drop a little bit, but I thought it was a very, very good venue and one I would hopefully like to see the seniors back at in the future.
Yeah, look, another one we should talk about, Neil Duff getting to the semi-final and maybe just run out of a little bit of steam, but he played some fabulous stuff.
I feel that's the most comfortable we've seen him in a seniors event so far. Don't get me wrong, he's been up against it, and this wasn't really any difference there. He's had some stinkers of draws, some incredibly tough draws in his appearances so far. To get through Thornton, Howson, and then fall to McEwan the way he did, which was a WDF World Championship rematch, wasn't it, as well? He's just not had it easy at any point. You look at the draw, and sometimes there are little sections you think, stick him in that one, and he might find himself that little bit deeper. But I thought he acquitted himself really well. He comes in with an awful lot of pressure on himself, I think, every time he plays one of these events, because he's got that reigning world champion title over his head. But there are still plenty out there that not question the legitimacy of it, but will question about him being referred to as a world champion. You're one of them, Philip.
We had some good banter with him at the weekend.
You did. I'm going to kill him.
I get what you're saying on that. There is the pressure there, but just his interview alone after his first match, he adds to that. The confidence, the speaking to Richie after that, Richie was like, I nearly beat him, and I didn't bring my A+ game that I was told I had to bring. So, yes, obviously the players are listening. We know the players listen to each other's interviews. But Neil was very, very brash, let's say the word as it is, and no different to where he normally is. But that pressure, he throws on it, but he knotted it up a level or two himself. But I think generally that day in that quarterfinal was one of the standout games of the weekends. Obviously, there was record-breaking numbers in another one in that quarterfinal, but generally I thought the drama in that one was very good. And I think we need a third game. Where and when, I don't know, but between Neil Duff and Richie Howson, does that perform this time and perform last time?
Just firing ton pluses at each other all the time. It's brilliant.
It was a great game. But I guess just sticking on Neil Duff for now around it, he's so driven towards winning one of these titles. But each time there's another tournament, there's that added pressure. So he thinks it's when, not if.
Oh, absolutely. Guys, there are some great questions around the seniors. I'm starring them, so we won't do them in question time. We will do them in the senior segment. I'm just starring them so I know where they are. The first TV ton plus average for a seniors event as well, coming from Leonard Gates. So the standard is rising as well. And I saw a stat on Twitter that the average was up nearly 6 points on last year's tournament.
Yeah, for the year, it's been pretty similar. It was the best we've had so far. I think it was 87 overall as a tournament average. The TV events we've had so far, 85.99 in Yeovil, 86.80 champion of champions, 83.27 for the Worlds. But obviously that's a bigger field in that one, so that tends to be what happens. But yeah, look, in terms of overall, that first game was it was the best game seniors had ever seen up until that point in terms of both players going at it. For large parts of the game, it was 108 played 104.
Yeah.
We've seen that on the floor occasionally on a Friday night LP metal detecting series where it's best of 3 or best of 5. To do that over that format was incredible from those two. Scotty Mitchell must be absolutely cursing his luck as well, by the way, the 2 draws that he's had.
Yeah. Oh, Christ. 100%. That he'd have probably beaten anyone else the way he played.
Yeah, just the way that Hoagie started that game was ridiculous.
Yeah, massively. So that was good. But yeah, look, Leonard surely has to then go into the World Championships as the overwhelming favourite right now.
There's just a big if attached to that, isn't there?
Well, as long as he plays. Overwhelming, I'm not sure. Favourite, yes. But there's just something about Robert Thornton when it comes to the tavern that means that he should run him very, very close. That right now, when I was say we've had conversations about it, but that seems to be what people are already looking at as the dream final for the seniors, with them two being the only TV winners this year. Leonard Dates 100% will be favourite down into that tournament. But how much in front of Robert, I'm not too sure. But like I said, as Dob was alluding to there, there's a big if around that on Leonard.
I think the big difference between now and then is just the sheer amount of darts they're going to play. Leonard is in contention. I think he's already qualified for Lakeside, but he's in contention for Ali Pali.
I don't think he's qualified for Lakeside yet.
But there's potentially could qualify for either or both of. Plus, he's going to go chasing for the CDC for the rest of the year as a minimum. He's got exhibition work in the UK. I think he's got another stint in the Super Series at some point as well.
Well, I should imagine. In fact, he's over here in December for the exhibitions.
Yeah.
I would imagine he's in the Super Series as well.
Yeah.
The fact that one of those exhibitions is in Portsmouth.
Yeah.
I'm just putting
in Oldham, so.
Yeah. So, yeah, I would imagine so. Right, we've got some clips to play. First of all, we'll do the Leonard Gates winning one. We'll hear from the champion first of all.
Oh yeah, it's a great feeling. Just to be participating in an event like this and doing well, it's awesome. Words can't explain it, and to pull out 3 in a row. Yeah, I've definitely got a target on my back for the rest of the year, next year, or whatever you want to call it.
Well, 3 in a row. Mm-hmm. Next one, 4 in a row. You know what that one is? It's the World Championship one next.
Whew, yeah, definitely. It's going to be a different kind of focus to play that one. So, yeah, it's going to be real good.
Going into that World Championship, the form you're in, you must be the clear favourite in your mind, and that everyone else in that practice room must know that as well.
In my mind, yes, but when you look at the other players and they're doing their routine, trust me, they have on their mind, beat this guy. You know, he's considered number one, or he's won 3 in a row. Somebody's trying to swipe that off money so I don't get 4 in a row, but I'm going to put up the best fight I can get.
He's fancying it, isn't he?
Why wouldn't you?
100%.
Why wouldn't you right now?
It's not like what to say. Like, why wouldn't you? You just won 3 in a row. His record in any WSDT tournament is ridiculous. The fact that 2 of those losses, by the way, that he's got on his copy sheet for his entire seniors career this year, by the way, are floor events that he was playing at the same time as the champion of champions.
After being told he didn't have to play in them, and he's like, no, more darts.
Won the qualifier at 1 a.m., was back in the afternoon to play Phill Taylor, then went straight into the room next door to play the floor event.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't he lose to Neil Duff and Mike Huntley, who both went on to win the title as well on that weekend? So he's
yeah, he lost only round 2 and Duff in the semis.
Yeah, when he's losing in these, he's losing to the champion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
very dominant.
Incredible. Right, but then we're going to hear from Jim McEwan after his victory on the Saturday, just about walking away.
Yeah, I loved it. To think I was going to pack it all in as well. After losing finals and semi-finals of qualifiers, I was getting a bit disheartened. I'm glad I stuck in it.
How close were you to walking away?
Oh, very close, very close. Yeah. And I watched the Worlds this year and I thought, no, I'm going to stick with it.
Interesting mentality from Jim that it almost wasn't to be.
He was done. He was 100% done. He made it public on social media that he was walking away from it. He was a little bit disillusioned with not being able to produce it in a qualifier. He won 2 floor events last year for the seniors, one in Alnwick and one in Manchester. But obviously both times they contributed ranking points, but not qualifying to any of the TV events. And he's like, I just can't produce it. Reading and Newbury are an awfully long way south for Jim, which is where the floor events have been based all year. And when Jim, it's one of them, we get on really well with an awful lot, well, everyone on the tour, to be honest. But when Jim qualified, it was almost one of them to go, do you know what, he deserves that for the amount of travelling up and down and the effort that him and Gail and whoever else travels with him and supports him put in just to be there for seniors weekends.
Yeah, I second that. I guess you look at qualifiers and the first name that comes to mind is Richie Howson. But then when you follow the floor events and you look at the rest of it, Jimmy's then very much in that next category with Colin of those who you are now sort of probably say with the levels they're at, expecting them to qualify because they are that good on the floor. And the commitment to the tours, as you mentioned, is very, very good. And it was a well-deserved run to the final. It's just a shame he started as slow as what he did in that final because it could have been very close. You saw that the comeback, he could have pushed Leonard. I'm not saying that Jim would have still done and won because Leonard was very clinical, but it would have been a different final if Jim would have started how he finished.
I feel like that's been the story of every final this season.
Yeah, don't disagree.
Sorry.
Anthony is in from the CDC. Hope you are good, mate. We're sending your boys back in good form and spirits for your weekend coming up. Can't wait. As always, the race for Ali Pali over in North America is well and truly on. Right. Let's do the Duff Man. We'll play the clip and then we'll talk.
I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. Yeah, well, it's always nice to know how much you're paying for and stuff like that there, like, but I did listen to the Nick Rose podcast. So 26th of September is going to be the day where we find out how much we're playing for, when the draw has been made, etc. So I hope it happens. Let's just see.
I'm just going off your words there. I hope it happens. Is there an element of you that thinks it doesn't then?
After the Masters being cancelled, there's always an element there. According to Nick, ticket sales are way surpassed what they were doing. They're hoping to do double what they've done last year. In my opinion, there's no Masters, so cut it off now. Get the draw done. Let people know when they're playing. Once they know they're playing, then like I have a crowd of guys all waiting to come over. I had guys over last year. It was a birthday. This year's one of the other birthdays. They all want to come over. If they know what day I'm playing, there's ticket sales gone. It's not rocket science, and I understand the WDF trying to do the best that they very can, get the TV deals and stuff in. We'll see what happens.
That was one of the funniest press rooms we've had because you two were giggling away like school children.
Professional me.
That's only a snippet of the interview. I recommend anyone to watch the whole thing. Because if you see how Neil's spoken about the WDF since he's been world champion, it's well worth a listen. It's all I'm going to say on that. It's definitely worth it.
And look, he was fair. He did offer everybody else in the room the chance to ask questions.
Was that another outlet?
Maybe.
He was in great spirits, and it was the look on his face as soon as he said the word hope, he knew he fucked up.
Bless him.
You say that. Part of me thinks the players flipping it more seriously. I do think now the players are at a point where he's saying it because he wants that to happen very, very quickly. That deadline, the 26th, the 26th, he said, yeah, 3 weeks Tuesday. I think he's at that point where, as they have waited so long for answers, to understand, to be able to invite family, friends, especially when you're travelling. We talked about Jim doing it for these events. Obviously, the World Championship in any field, you want to bring your family and friends with you for as much support as possible. It should be announced as soon as, but we'll wait 3 more weeks of this. We know all the answers on one day.
Absolutely. Anthony, we will get you back on the Monday after the Continental Cup. How does that sound? We love having you boys on. Am I going to the Minehead for the World Series finals? I'm not going to Minehead. I'm going to Amsterdam for the World Series finals.
Yeah, I've been relegated as well.
Right. Which
it's a nothing tournament anyway, Doc. It's fine.
Yeah,
it was even more of a nothing tournament the year I went, because I went to the other one. I went to the wasn't even the Fit Series finals. It was in the bigger arena. Hotel was lovely though. Heineken's a bit strong.
Flights were fun.
Lunch was brilliant, actually.
Yeah. How are we doing now? I hope you are good. Right, would you like the Phill clip on his performance or the one from the Friday first?
Surprise us.
Are you impressed?
I am very impressed. Yeah. He's definitely a one-off. He's another Michael van Gerwen, I think. And he's not frightened. He looks after himself. He does everything right. So the World Championship, sometimes I don't watch the first rounds. I'll definitely be watching Luke. Let's put it that way. So don't want to put any pressure on him, but I hope he really does do well.
This is why we should produce our shows, because that should have been the other way around. We're still talking seniors, and now we're talking about 16-year-old.
But that's very high praise, let's be fair.
Yeah, unbelievable. And deservedly so. He's just mustard.
Yeah.
I love the line, no pressure, but I'm watching.
Yeah, no pressure. Right, we'll play the clip where he was absolutely seething with his performance.
Yeah,
I'm retiring. Every time he hits a double, I'm thinking, that's me. Don't worry. It's one leg closer to never throwing another dart again. And then when another leg, I'm thinking, oh, no, you've got to carry on. And then when he enters 70s, I'm thinking, if you win this, you've got to carry on playing. So that was in my mind, honestly. Seriously, just make the score look, respectable, really. And the people supporting me are thinking, oh, please, But I noticed a couple little things I made mistakes on. So put that right tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yes, because one, I'm trying to lift the roof off. One, I'm trying to beat him. Paul Hanks, bless his heart, I'm trying to impress Paul because I'm saying, oh, I'm so sorry, because that's not me. Do you know what I mean? I had 118 and I'm 43. And then the people that are paying good money to come and see me, oh, I'm trying to lift the roof off. Trust me, I'm sweating. And I'm only playing darts. You're trying to lift the roof off the building, like Eddie Hall trying to do a 1,000-pound deadlift, honestly, which he did, and I can't do it. So, and it's awful. It really is. But it's something I've got to either stop doing it or find a solution. And it's not me to stop. It's not me to give in. So there's something I can do. And it's like this, do you know what I mean? You want it, trust me, Phil, it's the worst thing in the world. You wish you were a boxer so you could whack them, do you know what I mean?
He was genuinely raging, and you could see that on the stage, couldn't you, as well, during the game?
That first line when he said, it kept coming back, it genuinely sounded like he said, I retire.
Yeah.
Like, if you play it like the very first second, it sounds like it says I retire, and I was like, what's just gone on here? But he was just so disappointed with his performance. It just wasn't there no matter what he tried. He lifted it a bit the following day. I think the sad thing for Phill is that actually when he played Leonard in the Champion of Champions, he did play pretty well. When he played first round in Yeovil, he did play pretty well. Dennis Harbour absolutely frazzled his brain by slowing him down. There's no question about that. Phill just wasn't in the mindset to go and do that like he's been able to do for the last 40 years, and then it just wasn't there when he wanted it against Park to start with.
Yeah, look, we've got a couple of questions, and one of the headlines in what we're going to talk about is what next for Phill, and we've got that one there from Bob that says Phill was quite angry. Do you think we'll see the best of him again? Debatable, but again, Big Johnny has a point here that says when Taylor playing at this standard, and he starts getting, is it starting to damage the brand? Look,
his brand or the seniors brand?
Both to a point.
Seniors not so much, because we still get comments going, "This should be for over 60s. Why is Leonard Gates playing this? Why are people that are on the circuit now?" As if that's a thing, right? We're going to strict players because they play darts elsewhere to not be allowed to play in the city. Like, some of the comments are absolute nonsense. He still has the draw. He still has people wanting to go and see him play.
That part I understand. However, when he's continually being seeded, and look, rightfully so from what he's achieved, but when he keeps these below par performances, surely it does damage the brand in the end.
Potentially, it could do long term. I don't think it is right now. I see that as a potential. If we are sat here in a year's time and we have seen that first round performance again and again and again, but I don't think we have seen that from him. Obviously, in the opening year, he got to 2 finals. It's not been the same this year. But I looked at like Niall's points. They're saying about the Super Series. For me, that'd be a great thing for him.
But he won't do it. He's been asked.
I was going to say, yeah, it would have been. And that goes back to, like you're saying, about we've got players on, and Dob says there's players on the circuit. But you want players coming into TV tournaments at their best. You want them playing. And I just think Phill needs that. I'm not telling Phill what to do here, by the way. But it just seems all 16 players this weekend would have played competitive darts more recently, you would think, probably minus Glenn, more recently than Phill Taylor. And that can't benefit you long term, especially the standard that Leonard is now taking the seniors to, because there's players coming away from this weekend who know they've got to put more hours in, know they've got to practice more. You look at the first round names that just went out of this tournament: Endo, Mitchell, Robert Thornton. Those going in the first round just shows that the standard has improved in this tournament. And Phil's got to move with that step better. Otherwise, we'll see the performances that he got in the last 16. Yes, it improved in the quarterfinals, but wasn't enough to beat Paul Hogan. But will it? I guess the question is more around: will he change his approach? I'm not too sure.
It's a real tough one. It really is, because you think we're now 2 years into seniors TV darts. There's still some floor events for this year, so the season isn't completely done. But in terms of TV events, we're 2 years in, and he hasn't won one.
There's only 3 people that have, to be fair.
But this year the performances are less of is what the question. What, especially coming into the calendar for next year, if he's not going to go and play Super Series, there is a nice few weekends before the Worlds. For me, I'd love to see him at one of them. As preparation, it would be ideal. Is he going to? Probably not, but I think that would work perfectly for him.
Yeah.
It's a real conundrum. One of the other huge plus points from the seniors weekend was Glenn Durrant. I was so pleased for him. It was unreal that, look, in the last leg or last couple, he got nervous and you could see that. But for 95% of that game, what an improvement from Duzzer.
Yeah. Compared to where we saw him at the World Championships, he just looked a different character up on that stage as it was. He clearly wasn't ready to play darts in January. His fall off the PDC tour took an enormous toll on him. And it just completely, I think it threw him a little bit. It changed him. And I think this is what we're going to see from Adrian Lewis as well, by the way. You can caveat some of that. Where there's a big gap and where you're chasing what you have been, the 3-time world champion, the Premier League, he's looking for a level above and beyond when you're trying to get back on there. And the fact he's returned to that decent standard as it is, I think is pretty good from Duzza.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, I agree.
Does the performance now raise different questions in his head? Because if he would have turned up and performed at a 70 average, 70 to 75 average, got beaten fairly convincingly, would that have been a lot easier decision where now he's clearly put a lot of time in? He's got beaten by the eventual finalist, but pushed him all the way. Are them questions now in his head slightly different this Monday than what they would have been last Monday?
You mean, does the mentality change from potentially seeing himself in the future as a commentator to actually still being a seniors darts player?
Yeah.
I think so. I think the one worry we had about Duzza going into this one was obviously the previous performances and the fact that he deferred playing in Yeovil because he felt he wasn't ready. But he'd been practicing really well, or we'd heard he'd been practicing really well, but it was alone. It was practice on his own. And being able to get up there and replicate and produce that in front of a crowd cannot be shirked at for a person that has had that many issues with his throw and his action like Duzza has.
It can't, but I genuinely still think he sees himself as a coach, commentator, and maybe a bit of part-time darts in between.
Which he's old enough and he's earned that now.
Oh, completely, yeah.
But actually, I still believe that even at Duzza's age, where he will have then been one of the only players that has had such a severe action breakdown at that age and recovered to an extent, it will help him in those other aspects of his career. It will help him be a better coach if he knows the steps he had to take to go and rebuild his throw. And it will help people be realistic about a timeline within that as well. If your action breaks down to the extent that Glenn Durrant's did while you're chasing and tinkering, looking at different things, going back and watching old footage and trying to replicate it, perhaps without somebody there with motion capture cameras or something even as high-tech as that, it's not an easy fix overnight. You've got to be realistic about the fact that actually it's taken him 7 months, 8 months. When was the last? February.
Yeah, look, it's really, really interesting. We've still got some questions on the seniors. And it says, evening, guys. What changes would you make to World Senior Darts to implement in terms of ranking qualifying criteria for TV events?
I think ultimately they need to get to a situation where it is just one ranking list. It's a bit difficult now that they've gone off with the approach of two. Especially, but that would then involve less invitations or a situation where there's potential that there are no invitations or players such as Phill not getting into TV tournaments when he is so important to TV execs and the growth model that they have for the next 18 months. This might be me being a little bit biased, as I've been there and seen it firsthand, but that floor or the tour events, the ones away from the camera, are so good, are full of such quality. There are so many little gems in there, potentially. And I feel like more emphasis / focus needs to go on those events.
Do you think then that the 25% is the right for where we are at the moment? Because personally, I do. I think it should progress then in time. But I think where we are now still, I think 25% is right.
I think unless they made the commitment to start the 2024 season with a different approach at the start of the 2023 season, it's difficult on a 2-year rolling because actually those players that have been receiving invites at the moment need time and opportunity to go to other events.
Yeah.
And build up rankings so that they're qualifying. Because otherwise you go from all of those guys being in there to absolutely none of them, and it completely changes over. And then fan bases that have built up associations with players, i.e. a Richie Howson, obviously different, but are used to seeing them actually suddenly have 16 completely new faces and go, what the hell is this? This isn't seniors that I've watched.
Yeah. I'd like to see a tour finals of some sort.
Yeah.
At the end of each year.
Yeah. From a 1-year rolling, I know it's more difficult than to manage a 2-year and a 1, but
yeah,
a year-to-date finals for the just stream. You can do that. You've got your venues. Yeah. I know that everything is now based in Reading and Newbury, and actually having a hub, but actually having those two so close to each other, I think, is a little bit at the disadvantage of some. Long term, I think not immediately. Actually, while the hub's there, most people know where it is, and you can get used to an area and comforts and all that sort of stuff. Long term, I think you have to look to seek to put something back up north. At least north of the Midlands, a Sheffield maybe, or somewhere like that, just to spread it out for people. But other than that,
yeah, no, I agree. Jerry says these guys over 50 made 3 long matches on one day, draining a lot of the younger guys. Obviously, adding to avoid this. The problem is you have to fill TV hours, and to do that, you have to have X amount of games over a format, because on that final day, you still have to have quarterfinals, semi, and final.
Well, you could go to semis in the morning, final in the evening. There's a possibility for that, but in doing that, you need an extra day, and an extra day means an extra day for your venue cost, an extra day for all of your production staff, finding out on TV, and finding extra prize money 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. But
that's a massive increase in costs.
But to do that, and then let's say that was an option, so you moved, you had a Friday night as well this weekend, and you just found a way of doing that across Sunday to have semi-final and finals. From selling a final ticket, how would you sell though if you just had a first to 11 first to 9 for a final? You would then have to extend. You have to extend it anyway. So the player who wins, the player who plays that final, potentially ends up playing just as many as what they do now. It's just not 3 games; it's 2. But those 2 games,
that's a longer break, rest recovery, less time in front of the lights, cameras, and all that sort of stuff. Like that's an easier preparation.
So I do get it, and for certain players, like Leonard, who walks off at the end of the day thinking he's got a break and he's got London anyway, would probably be beneficial. But I think right now, the length is about right. Yes, it's difficult 3 games in one day. Just thought that a little bit fit on that in.
Yeah. Evening, mates. Hope you are good, buddy. I'll see you on Wednesday down there. Right. So I think that's just about it from the. Have we missed anything from the seniors?
I guess just best wishes and condolences to Martin Adams and his family, as that was announced.
Yeah.
Obviously, post Monday, last Monday. Obviously, Martin not playing and D2 in there. But everything else seniors, I believe, has been covered.
Yeah, I believe so. Lee, I can't see your earlier question, mate, because it rolls, so I don't know what it is to get the casting vote. My bad. Right.
You know what it was. It wasn't in this. It was in the Pro Tour stream. It wasn't in this.
What was it? I can't remember.
Who wins in their prime?
Oh, yeah. Nico, obviously, because they were on commentary today. Nico against Mace in their prime. Who wins? I've gone Mace because of his scoring finesse.
I said Nico chats his ears off in the practice room and he falls apart. Sorry, Mace.
There's only one of them in the chat room and I'm done with the other one. Sorry, mate.
I've got your back, mate. It's fine. To be fair, I said him in the stream earlier, and he wasn't in there. I remember watching Mace at Lakeside in two unbelievable games, one against Martin and one against He Who Must Not Be Named. That Mace was incredible. But Players' Championships. Let's go straight into it first of all. Peter Wright and Nathan Aspinall, chat room as well. Both now in danger. One huge danger, one not as much yet, of missing Minehead. Where are we on this?
Peter Wright's in a world of trouble.
Yeah,
Is there still that manner of arrogance, though, from someone like Peter that I'll turn up one weekend and I'll still find a way to qualify? Is that still there, and that's why he's giving these after?
A year ago, I'd say yes, but since the Slam this year, we've seen nothing to suggest that's going to happen.
Oh, I'm not saying us. I'm saying in his head, the player that Peter Wright has been over the number of years, the calling out that I'm going to win match play world championships type of attitude and to it, would he still have that now? And is that why, from someone who reportedly just a few weeks ago said he was playing in everything between now and the end of the season? Didn't last very long.
Because right now, he is in a world of trouble. Let's just update this because it's from this afternoon. So, look, Nathan just hasn't played in Players' Championships. He's prior to the TV events, which I get. But at the moment, he's 91st on the race to Minehead. Look, Nathan's still playing well enough to go and get it done. But
what Nathan will say is I'm world match play champion and my decision is fully justified right now.
I agree. But if you then miss a TV event, and arguably one of the most important, maybe not because of the prestige of the title, but if we look through the years, the players that either win or do well at Minehead go on and do well at the Worlds.
We made that up. The thing is, it's the last one before the Worlds, right? That's the one. It's the last chance to know where you are in front of a camera. Then players go and do exhibition work, but they do have a relatively big gap between that tournament. That's the one. Missing one of them possibly isn't the worst thing. It's just, is missing the one right before the World's the right thing? And that's just the way that the calendar falls. I think, especially given how busy the start of the calendar has been, and now the fact that the likes of Aspinall and Wright have got to go chasing every Pro Tour as well, there's a chance of burnout again, especially as it's a different kind of burnout. If you're there for a week in Wolverhampton for the Slam and a week in Leicester, and then you're down in Minehead, the sitting around and waiting to play for 2 days in a different town where if it's too far away to travel home again is just as taxing, if not more, than actually playing every day for a Pro Tour.
And is it a better way of doing it then? Is play the early Pro Tours, get your money on the board, and then take them off once you know you've got enough? Because now you go into these Pro Tours with extra pressure, because although you're still playing well and you back your ability, it's then extra pressure because you have to win money because everyone else has already got it on the board.
There is extra pressure, but I think it's around picking, and while you was looking at that, I was having a little look at the calendar, and it's like you look at the mid-October Players' Championships, there's 4 Pro Tours on the spin. Is that just an opportunity where you'd think, looking at where Nathan is, if he attends them 4, you would still think he'd make the Players' Championships, and he's been able to then afford himself numerous weekends off, so we can attack a window instead of attacking one or two. And yes, there's that pressure, but there's also not the opportunity of 4 early on in the season, I don't think. I think we only have 2, maybe 3 windows.
Yeah.
3. I think this one is the only one where we get 4 back-to-back. So
I get that.
I would be very, very surprised if he's not playing that mid-October one, because that's where we can go and attack it. And only being, what, 4 round off Players' Championship? You would think within 4 tournaments, yes, there'll be a little bit more movement in that, obviously.
I get that. And look, Nathan is absolutely brilliant. He could go and win one in the blink of an eye. But that block of 4, say you lose the first 2 early, then all of a sudden, the pressure on those last 2 cranks up remarkably.
Yeah, I think we'll see him at, like I say, it's that 4.
I think that's the best.
He's got a little window, the 29 and 30, just before the Grand Slam, the final ones. But I think he just sets himself on them.
Going now, getting the work done, and then planning my schedule for the rest of the year. Because if he rocks up and wins one, it's all done. He's there. If not, you're chasing for all of them, and then you're like, oh, actually, at some point, you know that you don't want to be playing in them.
But after this
you're
one,
constantly under that illusion that actually, if I do enough today, I don't have to play tomorrow. And all of a sudden, actually, you don't do enough on that day, so you've got to stick around, and then you've got to stick around.
Like I says, it's how each person approaches them. But the next set after this is a set of 3, which comes on the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday prior to the Grand Prix. The Grand Prix starting on the Monday, so we could be playing the Friday and then the Monday. But what he's tending to do, obviously, is have a little break before the TV tournaments. They would be the ones where he would probably miss and then attack the ones after. I understand the approach of trying to win the money nice and early to secure your place. But I think it'll be slightly different looking at what he's done the rest of the year.
Look, it's interesting. Nathan, I think, gets there. However, Peter Wright, on the other hand, and not forgetting, he's defending the winner's check from 2 years ago at Minehead. So to not even be there would be a disaster, because then there's nothing coming on. Okay, you might, if you're there, you might not defend it, but at least you're putting something on. If you're not there, there's just a great big hole.
Yes.
And is he playing well enough to go and win a Pro Tour at the moment? Looking at the numbers, it would suggest not.
No, and that's the biggest issue. Because I think if we was talking about, we are certain he was going to enter every single Pro Tour between now and the end of the season, there is still a good argument to say he would make it. If we are expecting him to turn up to 4 and pick up one of them, or we don't, then it's a completely different question.
Yeah, trouble for Snakey.
Absolutely. And whilst we were speaking about burnout and the Players' Championships, Nick Kenny obviously withdrew this morning. There's a bit more info on that from his Facebook. I'm just going to read it now, and then we'll discuss, because I actually think he's got a point in this. So on his Facebook, he said, I've decided to step away from the game for the rest the year at least. See how I feel in January about next year on the PDC. I feel burnt out, and I think I need to change my ways, especially on my own health and well-being. I've travelled for 10 years up and down the UK and Europe, and currently, at the current time, although I feel I'm actually playing well, I'm going to step away for now. Thanks for everybody for your support. Not done too bad. This burnout thing that we spoke about is genuinely a thing. That I know that people will say they don't have to play, it's blah, 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 they can do this, they can do that. But it is a genuine thing, isn't it? That the amount that they are playing, some of them are actually fucked because they still got jobs. So they're working all the hours and they're either self-employed or whether they're doing 40 hours a week, trying to fit tournaments around that. it's an interesting scenario right now.
It is. It becomes quite a difficult one because you see the burnout and the time and effort that people put into it, but then there's the flip of that when we have like John come on and say there's 2 months without a competitive darts being thrown. It's more a look at the calendar for me than the number of events, how the calendar's balanced, because it doesn't seem very balanced at all for non-World Series and Premier League players.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. Does he walk away if he's earned more than 10 grand so far this year?
Maybe not. But that also goes back to the point that we've said on numerous occasions on here that at the lower end of the tour, because of the way it's set up, the money isn't there.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen players earning more money away from the PDC of a certain standard than at the professional end of the game.
Not disagreeing with that at all. We've had that conversation many a time.
Yeah. And that's the balancing act right now. It's like, is the tour sustainable for a certain level of player? And look, if you're at that level, there's nothing wrong with that. Not everyone is going to be a Michael Van Gogh or a Gary Anderson. If your number says you're always going to be somewhere between 55 and 128 in the world, if that's your level, amazing. But if it's not financially viable as well, and especially when you look at the cost of travel now, that the prize money on the floor events hasn't gone up considerably for a while, has it?
Only went up to 12 grand this year, didn't it?
Not the bottom end. Not winning a Pro Tour, the bottom end of the Pro Tour.
No, not really.
It's been $750 for a while for winning the game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, hotel costs at the moment are astronomical. Like, proper out of control at the moment. For a shit budget hotel, if they know something's on, they're charging £200 a night for a T Lodge or a P Inn. Because they can.
Did you really just say T Lodge or P Inn? Like, we've never ever used the word Premier Inn on the show before.
I was trying, yeah.
Thanks to the hospitality of Sir Lenny of Henry, where everything's Premier but the price.
Yeah, but normally we're being nice about them then.
The entire hotel system in this country is basically on an adaptive pricing system. The minute they get busy, they drag the price up. That's it.
Yeah. But
they're all using similar programs, so there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, and Mace said it there. Players outside the top 32 need a job or massive sponsorship deals to compete now. So it's an interesting point right now where the lower end of the sport goes. Because I genuinely feel that in the next couple of years, if the Super Series keeps going on the trajectory it is, players will hand tour cards back of the lower end. And it's all right saying, all right, we'll just fill it up with someone that wants it. That doesn't last forever. We've seen Pro Tours not been able to be filled for that reason.
Yes.
If players know they can earn good money elsewhere, guaranteed money as well, they're going to take that option.
There's only so many that can play in the Super Series, though. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, I understand that. But what I'm saying is it will only take a couple of high-profile tour cards, not high-profile, but I've got a big enough name to make a difference to hand those cards back. Then what does that say about the professional game if people are willing to give a card back?
It's not a dud sign. However, a lot of what they look at is the top end of it and not the bottom. So
the top end has never been better. The top end of the sport has never been better financially for players. But arguably the bottom end is crippling some players now because of the cost of getting to events.
Prices.
Like you look at flights to Europe. On some weekends, it's genuinely cheaper to get a flight to New York than it is to Germany.
Is it?
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm off.
We were looking at.
I remember that when you tell me you're going to the World Series next year. Yeah.
The only reason I know that, we were looking at it, was it Munich Easter weekend? I know it's Easter weekend, so it is going to be more expensive. But players were looking that got knocked out early and trying to get home. Flights were like 600 quid to get home.
Don't get knocked out early then.
You make it sound so simple, Gob.
I do. Just play well until beers happen.
Out of context, Monk. The Aaron Monk Twitter page over the last week has just been an absolute delight for all darts fans.
Monk happened.
but not anymore, eh, Gob? You spoiled the fun.
Shut up.
Monk got monked. But yeah, so going back, do we think Peter Wright makes Minehead? We went off on a tangent there.
No, but Aspinall does.
What, Steve?
Yeah, I'm with Dob.
Off of
I
that,
don't think there's no question about Aspinall. I really don't. I think that'll be fine.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think that's in there.
I know we're going early on this. But it was the fact that he didn't even reply to the guy that messaged him. He just replied to his own tweet. That was the bit. We're going early. Peter Wright, Premier League 2024.
No.
Do they pick him? Can they pick him? If so, how do they justify it right now?
No. They pull someone out of their arse like they always do. Next.
I've spent too much time next to you, Dob. I agree. I realise
it's 9 o'clock and Phil's just floating us a long-ass question to try and pad out the fact he's not planned this show properly at all. And we've got nothing to preview now. We're going to hit question time at 9:30 when we've answered half of them on the stream earlier today. But it's simple, no. And we were saying it since about April time. When he bombed out of this year's competition, he was not in any way to be back in there next year. His record in it, even when he's been world champion or whatever else, is dreadful for a player who's been in the top 4 as long as he has.
So
are we gone?
So what happens if I say no, and rule 1? Gob's
Well, that was
favourite.
basically what I said. They pulled someone out their ass to justify it.
It's going to be interesting.
We can invite who we want. We did a survey and the fans said it was really important to see the same players over and over and over again for 17 weeks.
Did you write the same as me? That's what I'll put in my comment.
Did you two share notes?
Yeah.
I made 4 of my friends answer it exactly the same way that I did to make sure they go, no, right, they just want to see darts. It doesn't matter.
Do you think we get a change in the format or not?
No.
I hope so. The issue is that they've stumbled across the tournament on one night they really like. So the only option, given the length of the night, is to alternate and have 2 groups. And then they have to justify leaving certain players out of certain venues. And that's where you get down that spiral of, but I wanted to see Van Gerwen and he's not coming to Manchester this year. He's only going to Liverpool.
In a Brummie accent, that's brilliant. We've done Manchester, Liverpool in a Brummie accent.
I thought he was trying to take the meat out of a jar initially when he's like, I don't know where he's going.
Anyway. Been around way too many of you lot this weekend.
I've got a funny feeling it's not going to change this year.
I don't think they'll change this year.
No. I used to love Jar's Gary Anderson impression. I want to hear more of Gob's Brummie accent while we're talking about Liverpool and Manchester.
And about where I talk about, my Brummie accent's bang on. Jar's Gary is superb, though.
Very good. If he is listening and he doesn't send us a voice note in the next hour, I'll be very, very disappointed.
He was fishing in the chat room today on the Pro Tour stream. He was throwing bombs around, wasn't he?
Shut up.
No, but look, one more to go in this block. We've seen some very good performances going back to the actual darts. I know we've gone off on one. The youngsters again are shining on the Pro Tour. Luke Humphreys, Kevin Dukes getting to a final. We've seen big averages from Jean Van Veen again. There's some good stuff at the moment.
Yeah. I've just had a terrible thought, by the way.
Terrible that you can share or terrible that you can't share?
Yeah. So Scott Mitchell was very close to being one of the players on a call-up. So hang around an extra day in York on the basis that Barnsley is not too far away. Drove back home because there wasn't a replacement needed. And now Nick Kenny's just withdrawn from tomorrow and he's all the way down in Dorset.
Yeah, I remember him talking about it.
Was he next?
I don't know who's next. I think it would have been the next 3 to 5, but obviously some of them might have been in Europe, so getting them in would have been difficult.
Right.
Yeah, he would have been close. I remember him talking about it. I remember him talking about it and how you said that. He was like, "Nah, I'm not getting the call. I'm going home." Right, Bolton's in. Placia, Landman, and Horvath would have been difficult to get in.
Yeah.
Whitehead, maybe.
Yeah.
Grundy played. So maybe Whitehead said no. Grundy definitely played. So it would have been.
Whitehead was in Modus Saturday night, so wouldn't have travelled up Sunday.
Right, okay. So if Whitehead said no or couldn't because of work, it would have been Mitchell. He was next. He's one below Grundy. Yeah. Oh, bless him. But yeah, look, on the Pro Tour, look, we've seen Cam Crabtree produce some brilliance over the last 2 days as well. And God, we spoke about it earlier that potentially with the tour card race heading into the beginning of next year, there seems to be a real shift at the moment that the top 8 has a real younger feel to it, the way it looks.
It will do. Not so much younger, but actually just fresher. It's players that have done their apprenticeships for the last couple of years. Your Dirks, your Danny, well, not Danny so much because he went from the BDO, but Dirk sneaking in that top of it. We say younger. It feels a bit fresher just having Johnny Clayton involved in there as well. He's been around for the last couple of years. His ranking deserves to be up there.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, completely. But then we've got this next generation coming through that we speak about. Look, we've seen them on the Super Series. Owen Bates and Cam Crabtree spring to mind. They played some really good stuff on the Pro Tour. They're 3 and 4 on that Challenge Tour order of merit.
They're literally inseparable a minute. They travel to an awful lot together. They're next to each other on the Pro Tour ranking. They're next to each other on the Challenge Tour ranking. They both won a Challenge Tour within the space of a week of each other.
Whatever you can do.
Pretty much. It's like one of them does one thing. It's like, I'm coming with you.
It is. It's like they've got their own little individual rival and battle going on between each other. That it's like, no, I'm doing this. No, I'm doing this.
Don't mind it.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan. Mo says the young ones are the ones who can play some of days on a spin. Yeah. Yes. Jamie's just touched on him there. What 2 days for Callum Menzies as well? That
oofed.
At the start of this block, he was fighting for his tour card. He was outside the provisional 64 on the tour card race. He wasn't going to the Worlds. 2 days of very good darts from Cammy. And he's up to like 57 on the tour card race and going to the Worlds. And it's the manner of the performances as well that he's blowing people away. That we're seeing more of that A game that we've probably ever seen in a sustained period.
When you see Cammy, normally you get a couple of things. Over the last couple of years, you get a couple of things. You get a big drop-off from just how good he can be to his B game, and you get a lot of nonsense. This weekend, we haven't seen that drop-off once, and there's been no nonsense. There's been no messing around on the hockey. It's been straight, laser focused, down to business. And if he can produce that and then go and have his fun elsewhere and do his nonsense in whatever, I don't know where I'm going with that one, but you know what I mean? Like, hold himself in a professional manner on the hockey, produce, but actually, if he wants to have fun, you do it in exhibitions, you do it in your local league, you go and play Super League or whatever, just to keep your arm in, but enjoy that side of it, then that's the perfect balance for him.
Yeah, and look, if we can see more of this, for me, he's a top 32/16 player with that ability. But beforehand, it's been the A game or sometimes D, E, and whatever to get there. But now, the floor is coming up, getting closer to his ceiling. And if he can continue to pinch at that, he's going to cause problems.
Yeah, that it is all about with Cameron how many times you can find that A game, and that is, I know we say it's about a lot, but he's at a ridiculous standard. He's a ridiculous pace when he finds it. He's 180 is ridiculous. But what a 2 days. He's got to be confident of going into tomorrow and then the qualifier on Wednesday. But where he's moved himself from to, I think his tour card was still probably safe for the rest of the year, and even if he didn't enter the Worlds, give or take probably a few grand, Phill. But other than that, the fact now that he's in a World Championship position, the pressure is off a little bit more, and now we can go and just play. Let's just hope, and this is key probably to what Dob was saying, let's just hope that focus remains on the dartboard. Because if it is, there's no reason why you can't have a successful end of the season. But some of the games, some of the performances he's put in the last 2 days have been excellent. And he should have got the better today of Clemens, to be honest. He'll come away from that disappointed.
The deciding leg from Clemens, the 11 dart, was unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, sorry. Yeah, prior to that, in the game, he should have had I think it was a 5-3 lead, and actually ended up finding himself behind, and then clawing back to their decider. He should have been well in front and going into that, but Clemens in that last leg was too good.
Yeah, completely. We've got a couple still on the Pro Tour here, so we'll talk about them. Paul, I'll start that. We'll talk about that in a minute. Evening to Niall's daughter. Hope you are good. Sorry, I don't know your name, but good evening from us. Where were we? Matt says, bold prediction, waits to make a run and save his tour card. He played well today, in fairness. But the other one that he says, would a relegation promotion system between Pro Tour and Challenge Tour be better than Q School? Absolutely. No, it won't, because it's a moneymaker. But me and May spoke about this in length on an interview we did earlier on in the year. For me, say there's 30 cards available. You still have Q School. You put your 4 cards aside for the 4 daily winners, so you can still sell the dream ticket. You can win it. So there's 26. Then the 26 get relegated from the Pro Tour. 26 go up from the Challenge Tour, and Q School is used to get onto the Challenge Tour. For me, I think that works.
Would it only be 4? Wouldn't it be 4 for UK, 4 for the rest of the world?
Yeah. However you want to do it, yeah. But you take away your daily winners, and the rest is promotion relegation, and then Q School is used for the Challenge Tour. So the Challenge Tour is not oversubscribed like it is, and they're playing for 14 hours on a Saturday or whatever.
Never gonna happen.
Oh, look, we know that because Q School makes 450 grand. We get it. We're not stupid.
Not even that. Nobody's going to pay money to enter to be on the Challenge Tour for a year to promote themselves in there because the prize money isn't good enough. Q School is too expensive to then sit on the Challenge Tour for a year and hope you get promoted. It's too expensive for 30 of the people that go and get cards. It's too expensive for Nick Kenny, who's won 10 grand this year, but is off because he's knackered. And there's plenty more like him. You won't get a promotion and relegation system until the bottom end improves significantly but that needs to trickle down to an awful lot. It needs to trickle down through the Pro Tour, then it needs to go through the Challenge Tour. And the minute you start doing that, the Women's Series and the Dev Tour are going to want more.
But doing it that way,
system, you need about another 6 million in prize money.
But doing it that way, you also improve the standard because you would have a better 128. Because a criteria judged over a year to get on the Pro Tour has to be better than a criteria based across 4 days.
I agree, but if it means that you're losing money, then I'm not against the format, Phill, but from a financial aspect and standard improvement for how much financial impact it will be, you wouldn't have as many people that Q stall, I think, if it was just based on just your winners. That number would drop.
But again, though, to get on the Challenge Tour, you'd have to go to Q School. That's the issue. That's the same as it is now. That's why people go. Look at the number of people that go to Q School in relation to cards. The odds are you're not getting one. It's kind of no different.
I know, but you're slashing the odds even more. Short term.
And look, Mace's just said a good point there, and I'll get shit for saying it, but I don't give a fuck. WDF players spend a fortune chasing around, travelling for Europe for points, and they don't know what they're playing for. At least this way, you know what you're playing for. And
22 days.
Okay, call it now. Are the winners, men and women, playing for the same money that Neil and Bo got last year? Yes or no? One word answer.
No.
Boise?
22 days.
Yes or no? Get off the fence. We don't do that here.
Says you parked your ass with it firmly on the Pro Tour earlier.
No, you forced me to pick, so I did.
Yeah, eventually.
Yes or no? Yes or no?
Great game. Grow up.
I'm being optimistic. I'm going to say no.
As opposed to pessimistic, definitely fucking not.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Not a freaking chance. But yeah, Paul also brought up interesting one. The price for the World Youth, was it the World Youth, whatever it is, final? Gene Van Veen is the favourite against Luke Littler. There will be a lot tempted by the Luke Littler price, I think.
I think there'll be a lot tempted by both prices, even with Gianna's favourite. Because he's not that big a favourite. He's not too unbackable.
Can we just extend the final and not worry about who wins?
Just crack on, yeah. You two just play all day.
Yeah. Yeah, instead of having it in between semi-final and final, can we have it between afternoon and evening session and just fill that 2 hours? Just them absolutely down it to each other.
We'll just create a new format for them, basically. They're only allowed to end the game once they've hit a 9-darter, a 170 finish, and a 5 legs clear of their opponent. That should keep them going for hours.
Yeah, but that could still happen because one of them could
happen in 10 minutes. To be fair. You have to do all 3. So your opponent could hit the 9. You've got to keep going until you hit a 9, but then you might have the 170 and then we'll do that. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. I'm not surprised at Gene's favourite. I'm surprised. I thought it'd be even closer. I thought there'd be it'd be 10 to 11, 10 to 11. Slight more the other way, but very, very slight. But look at how well Gene's playing. You're going to say the same about Luke.
Yeah, no,
it's strange for them to not get caught up in a hype, considering what they've done with Josh Rock's odds for the last 18 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I can't wait. That is going to be one of the highlights for Minehead this year. And I know me and Mace were chatting about it. That is going to be some cracker in between the semi-finals and final of the Players' Championships.
That might be the most watched game of the weekend.
I agree.
Genuinely could be right up there.
I think it could be absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, the expectations on the Players' Championship finalists to perform this year is going to be huge because of what's
After
happening.
watching them two in the U.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, look, And I suppose that the other thing as well, I know it's a shorter format, but this could actually outshine the final of the Players' Championships itself, because after a long day at those events, sometimes the final is a right damp squid.
So sometimes about it, like 5 of the last 7 have been garbage.
It could be interesting. That could steal the show.
Yes.
Do we know when Luke is back in the Super? I know. God knows. But we're not telling yet. But don't worry. He will be back to try and make it through on the spin and defend that crown.
It's the last chance they get to see him in the Super Series. He's earned his tour card. That's it. They might literally never, ever see him in that building again, because he will not be eligible if he keeps his card for the rest of his life, like he is capable of doing.
Yeah. He could be the longest reigning undefeated Modus Super Series champion ever.
The lineal Modus Super Series champion.
we go down the Fury. You're not champion because you didn't beat the man
for the next 50 years.
If he wins 3 on the spinner, we're going to name the title after him.
Probably not. we're not going that far.
It'd be very much the Birmingham City retiring the Bellingham shirts when he's 17, 18 or whatever. It'd be that sort of
I mean, that paid off for him though. He absolutely mustard. So maybe Luke will have the same.
Yeah. Where is it? Too much pressure. It was nice to see Leighton back in the Super Series this morning. Actually, and he got better as the day went on, and he looked like May said he's had a massive growth spurt. He looked tall as well.
Yeah. On
there, but look, it's just nice to see him back playing, and look, just let him flourish and enjoy it. That when he was it 13, 14, the pressure on him was huge.
He was playing Tower of London exhibition against Phill Taylor, who'd only just given his card up, and ran him close in that. I think it was like 1st to 10, and he loses 10-8.
100%. I was there. It was incredible and
unbelievable. But then there's a combination of what has been said. There's too much pressure on him too quick. He's doing that at 13. People are going, right, come on then, this kid's world champion, etc. I think there's a difference in people around him. You're going to get that everywhere. You see that even now with people that are around Luke, with people that are around Bo Greaves, for instance, who's in a similar position, people that are around Leighton. When you get somebody as talented or that special at that age, there can be that, even if it's unintentional, that extra bit of pressure going, actually, mate, you've got something here. Let's keep pushing and pushing and pushing. The growth spurt is different. There was a lot of abuse that he got when he was winning at the Lakeside for being excited, for being a kid.
Yeah. Yeah, I also
being
think
a kid and winning, he's told off for celebrating. It was a joke.
And that's part of the difference as well between him and Littler. Yes, there's been a lot of talk about Littler probably for a couple of years, but nothing to the extreme as what there was about Leighton Bennett at that age. Now, Littler's more experienced, and I know that sounds totally weird saying that about 16-year-old, but in the sense of the Super Series has been huge for him.
Mm-hmm.
Now the World Youth Championship final will be huge for him in regards to an experience. Yeah. And that's all different in the manner of play you get in. Every time that Leighton Bennett played, even if it was just down the pub, people were putting on social media, he's just averaged 100 and something. And it was absolutely everywhere in a best of 3.
He did 9 at Darts Planet tournaments, wasn't he?
Yeah, and there was so much going around then, but
I remember that weekend well.
It's slightly different now.
Yeah. I'm still blocked.
I remember that weekend well.
But the other thing is, their levels of relative success so far came at differing ages. Leighton's was very, very young. Luke is now 16, so they've gone the opposite way. And actually, what Leighton's had to endure is as those things are changing around him, as he is having that growth spurt, as he is dealing with the pressure of being 13 or 14-year-old and having that expectation on him, he is seeing Luke come up next to him in that JDC ranking and overtake him and play in that England squad with him. He's seeing the likes of Henry Coates go and compete with him, Archie Self, Thomas Banks. There's a lot of pressure in that little environment itself. Leighton Bennett was the star of the JDC when it very first launched. Now, 6th, 7th on some of those ranking lists at times.
Yeah. Oh yeah, completely.
When you had Logan from, is it Logan Gilmore from Scotland? You get the Dutch boys involved, Pim van Bynen, Bradley Roos.
Yeah. Yeah. To be fair, though, going back to it, that Tower at the Power, whatever it was called, was an unbelievable event, and the money that cost to put on was just mind blowing.
It's still on YouTube, by the way. Go back and watch it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, being there, we got there early, and just watching the setup and whatever, and it was just like we're playing darts at the Tower of London. The higher cost alone was ridiculous, let alone the production to get it in there and make it eligible for darts and everything like that. It was just, don't get me wrong, the sponsors at the time, a huge international multi-million pound company, which I get, but still it was just remarkable.
It is, but actually their involvement as well, whilst they're not involved as much as sport at the moment, gives hope that blue chip sponsors will still get involved in the sport.
Yeah.
Especially when you have the issue of kazoo that you do at the moment, and actually bookmakers coming back in for a lot of the tournaments. Obviously, they've moved off of alcohol, etc. But actually, at some point, if you can get a cleaner sponsor for the entire sport, even if you get something like a Coca-Cola, like a top FTSE 100 company that are prepared to go, we're going to back this entire sport because actually you've cleaned up your image a lot. We think we can make an absolute killing from pushing this.
Oh, completely.
It would be huge. Unlikely, but it would be huge.
Yeah. Because there's that fine margin between a blue chip company that is so big, but actually a luxury brand as well that just doesn't associate itself with your stereotypical darts fan. Rolex aren't about to leave golf to come and sponsor darts. They never will.
No, completely. Yeah, mate, we remember the 9 at the event. Was it in Norwich, I think? Riley's in Norwich, if I remember rightly. So, yeah, that was that. Someone said, have we talked about... We kind of brushed over it, or not brushed over it, but forgot about it. Return of form of Callum Ritz. New darts. Took some time away, and the last 2 days, he's looked superb. He's the action. He slowed the throw down a little bit, and it's working.
Yeah,
you've nailed it. Basically, he looks like he's come to these tournaments this weekend in particular with a just completely fresh outlook. There is a more methodical pace, a setting of the dart. There is a little bit of a new look. He seems to have given himself a bit of a haircut, etc. And actually, there's that subscriber to the theory that look good, feel good, play good. Noticeable as well that Menzies has a new shirt that is much more than just a plain blue polo. He's put some effort into his appearance, etc. There's a lot of players that will subscribe to that theory that actually, if they're comfortable, feel good, but feel they look good as well, that actually there is a psychological improvement on your performances. And he seems to be another one as well that actually he's had a little bit of a tidy up of his appearance. He's changed his equipment and he's changed his approach, and it's paying off for him at the moment. Ricky Evans is another who has just given himself that extra half a second at the hockey. You can still throw your 3 darts in the same rhythm from start to end of your first dart, but it's that extra time to just set yourself at the hockey, because they both had a tendency to just rush that little bit and perhaps not even be set in place before they're prepared to get rid of it.
It's the one of that there to get them out the runs to start then approach.
Yeah.
And yeah, that has been very different over the last 2 days.
Yeah, completely. And look, it's good to see, because I remember, was it the Euro Tour at Reese or the one after? I genuinely thought he was going to walk away and never throw again.
Yeah.
He looked at rock bottom. Also, yeah, Chris Dobie late last week, moved from Unicorn to Target that we obviously knew anyway. Target put some teasers out, and Unicorn kind of ruined it like they did the Smith one the day before.
The announcement was very good, though.
Yeah.
Very, very good. Deadline day move. Timed very well. But it was obviously well publicised before it was announced. But saying that, was there any transfer on deadline day that people didn't know about 2 or 3 days in advance, or why should 3 derbies be any different?
Probably not. But yeah, the launch was very good. Someone asked, I can't remember, was it you, Gob, or someone asked why he had bits of yellow on his shirt.
Me?
So we were talking in the press room
about Dobie's shirt. Yeah, I thought it was. Yeah, sorry.
Because one of the old first Newcastle shirts had bits of yellow on it as well, to break it up. So he chose that yellow as the colour breakup. It's Newcastle related.
So he's still allowed references to football colours, but fans aren't, is what you're saying?
Yeah. Have you not seen Callum Menzies' shirt as well? That's black and white.
Right. Just checking.
Cullen's is almost a Man United shirt.
Right.
It has the little devil on the back.
Cullen's my favourite shirt.
Toilet roll. It was offside though, wasn't it, Lee?
Dart job. Yeah, dart job. Talking about a dart shirt. I'm not talking about any other sport.
But you know, it looked good. We saw. I don't think he was on the stream yesterday, but we saw him on the stream today. That yes, he lost early, but it was a 99 average. He started a little bit slow, but got really good as the game went on. The dart didn't look too different. It's still a straight barrel with ring grips on. And when you're making minimal changes like that, it's not too difficult to adjust, I don't think. Especially when he'd have had them for a while anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The grip at the back of him is quite a severe change. Compared to his phase 1s, to be fair, I'm not sure what his phase 2s at Unicorn look like off the top of my head. They don't make them anymore either. Will Derby make the Grand Prix? I believe so.
I don't know. He's on the cusp.
Yes.
Because I'm not sure. Is he? We worked out Barney isn't, but is Dobie at any of those 2 Euro tours? Because that's the bet that when you're that close, if you're not, you're running the risk, and without a deep run.
I don't know. Trying to find Euro Tour qualifiers like that is a pain in the ass. They're the worst. That's the worst thing the PDC do, by the way. Because the Wikipedia pages are shocking as well, compared to everything else.
Yeah. Dobie is not at either Euro Tour. But if he's not at either Euro Tour, he's in danger. Because...
Danger.
At the moment, he's 15th. Look, he's got 3,750 quid buffer, but without being at those Euro Tours, that's dangerous. Do we agree? Do we agree?
Especially after the last 2 days.
He'll find a way.
Saudis will pay his entry. Let him in or I'll chop your head off.
Let him in or chop your head off.
Normally, you just find one town or one city in the UK to attack on a show. Now you've just done all out for the Saudis.
Yeah, now he's just gone from one of the most powerful kingdoms in the world, but have unlimited money and resources.
Yeah.
I'll turn up tomorrow to the stream. Anyone seen Gob? No, he just disappeared overnight.
Right.
So yeah,
that's why they're there.
That covers the.
Can't bill me if they can't find me.
That covers the Pro Tour. Week in darts. So I saw Stowe Bunce won a WDF event, backing up his unbelievable week on the CDC, weekend on CDC last time out, and puts him in good form ahead of this coming weekend.
Yes. I thought you were going to go Edgar then, but yes.
So did I.
We're going on Edgar?
We
Made
went
the
the
final.
final. You went WDF route.
Didn't we talk about that last week?
I made Catalonia this weekend.
Oh,
He lost to Yellow Classic yesterday.
Sorry, I didn't see those ones. I didn't even know.
Yeah.
All right. Go on, I'll let you take over.
Well, I genuinely don't know what he said. I zoned out. Third final of the season for Edgar. Where's he gone? Did I upset him?
We said I'll let you take over. That was it.
Wait a minute. I think my camera's turned itself off.
Get him gone!
That's
the
fine.
Saudis have gone for him instead.
Yeah, but you can still hear me.
They got the wrong VPN, so they went to Phil's.
been cancelled by the Spain in 2 seconds. I'm just going to switch my webcam over.
Unfortunately, me and Dalton still see him.
Yes.
Just from a different angle.
Yeah, because that's on my laptop.
It's not better.
I don't get why they do that either.
It's not, the camera quality is not as good, but it'll do.
The washing machine's back. Yes.
The camera quality is not good. For some reason, because I use my spare phone as a webcam, and it's turned itself off.
It's turned you a little bit blue as well. You've done a bit Smurf-like.
Is that better?
Well, no, you're still on the stream, but yeah.
Where were we? This has descended into absolute chaos. Matt, third WDF final in 3 events. Did he win in Iceland, lose in Catalonia, lose in... I want to say
Did he win
Latvia?
one? I thought he had runner-up in all of them.
So did I, but his post said 3 events this year, 2 losses, 1 win. Unless he's telling porkies. But even still, if it is 3 finals, he can't be too far away on current form, if he plays a couple more, from being one of the players from this cycle to qualify for the WDF Worlds.
For what year?
This year? It's not fully set, is it?
I think there's only a couple of spots left, and I don't think 3 tournaments, even if they are finals, would.
Lost in Belgium, won in Iceland, lost in Catalonia. Yeah, but you forget the players that are going deep in some of them are already there. So he's got less catching to do. If he plays a couple more between now and the cut-off.
All right, the other one as well is how far up that reserve list can he get?
That's the other option.
Because that reserve list is going to be used.
We suspect.
But in the torrents, going off their torrent ranking system, Minehead is currently 110 in the world, even with 3 recent finals. So fairly low down, Dob. I'm guessing that's based on. Yeah, that's with all he's on. He's currently 110.
No, I don't know. Are they all bronze? I didn't know if they were higher ranked than that. Either way, it's promising.
Yeah.
Someone who, much like Durrant at the start of the year, was ready to pack it in and give it up and was going through ridiculous physios. Like, I'm just not going to play.
1 silver and 2 bronze. The one he won was a bronze, and then obviously the runner-ups were 1 bronze, 1 silver. But puts him, dependent on where his photos is down to be, it puts him in a strong position then with a new 2-year calendar, moving into qualifying for 2024.
Yes.
Because there'll be a lot of points to come off.
Interesting. I'm actually interested to see how far down that reserve list they have to go. If it goes the way that we expect it.
I might get a call up for averaging 16 at Super League the other week.
To be fair, no, Mason's got a point here.
I've never known the criteria. They just rock up. You used to have to play a certain number of platinum and gold events, didn't you, through the year to collect your points and all sorts of complicated nonsense.
Yeah.
Why, Phil, how many do you think will drop out?
Wait a minute. Let's. Is the WDF site up to date?
Yes. Does it start? And Matt Edder's on from yesterday.
No idea.
So it should be.
Gary, what?
Again,
Is there
am I just looking at them? So, again, this makes no sense. What are they taking off of the ranking list? Is it the main ranking list?
Just point your finger a bit and see what you come up with. There is a fifth in there. Shocking.
Wait a minute. Let me find something.
So,
yeah, ticket sales are good, mate. 100%.
I've just sent it you, Philly.
What on?
That should have on here, private chat.
Ah.
It says it all where I'm down for that information, but that seems the most legit instead of looking at.
Mangel Lawrence, no!
What?
So, at the moment, Yella still has a potential to get to Ali Pali. Not there yet, but potentially could. Puhai potentially could. Landman could. Ben Robb. Littler is already there.
Has Laby got anything in CDC that he could?
Yeah, Lauby can. I think Lauby can still through the CDC. Bilowetsky can, if not. Dave Prince, I doubt it. Raymond Smith, there's still the Oceanic Masters, which is a qualifying spot. Ben Robb's number one in the New Zealand. Dennis Nilsson, isn't there a Nordic and Baltic qualifier yet? So that list could potentially be hammered.
So that's we've currently noted 3 reserves already on there. Do we expect all them 3 to be in?
Yeah. Well, we know Littler's already there. Confirmed. So there's one.
What a replacement in pace.
Maybe we'll do another video on this when we can do some research.
Yeah. But yeah, that to be fair, I say all good there. Right, get your questions in then, everyone.
Have you seen what we've been tagged in on Twitter, by the way, from Adam?
No.
Robert Grundy is 16-1 for the Pro Tour tomorrow.
16-1.
Talking of odds, Grundy 16-1 for tomorrow's Pro Tour on Paddy Power. Is there something we don't know? Price 6s, Van Gerwen 13-2, Smith 7, Humphreys 9, Cross 12, Clayton 14, Robert Grundy 16-1. What bloody hell is that?
That's weird. That's very weird.
That's funny.
What about Dando? He played well today.
I think he means Dando Dodds, but every question the man asks is about Gary.
He's played well.
Gary, not that much. Right, let's go through the 3-starred questions while people get some more in. If you are typing, don't forget to like and subscribe as well. Sam says, going off what Dan said last week about Darts Museum, what 5 things would you have as your main exhibits? E.g., set of darts, trophy, a shirt for question time later. Phill, so pick any 5 items of darting memorabilia from history. What would you have?
Oh, shit. The original BDO World Championship trophy.
Yeah.
The original Masters trophy.
Yeah. You could have bought these at auction of the week.
Yeah, but 100% them. Yes, the News of the World trophy. Does anyone actually know where that is?
Are you just having 5 trophies, by the way, Phil?
No.
Okay.
It's got
You've
3.
Doesn't say you only have 2 left.
The MVG Old Faithful darts.
Yeah, they got to be in there.
Because that, as an individual set, they are the most successful dart in history. Because Taylor used to give his away and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So as a one set of darts that has won everything, they're in.
And then a Darry Anderson shirt.
Foul fashion shirt. Yes. The Ali Pally Wasp.
No, Big Johnny, they don't. I was speaking to Bobby about this a couple of months ago. The last time he knew, it was at News of the World headquarters, but obviously they got shut down and whatever, and no one. What would the 5th item be?
This is yours, by the way, not ours.
Yeah. My 5th
I'm
one.
going Old Faithfuls. Oh, do I want Old Faithful? No, I want Dream Boys from the Lake. If I go shirt, I think I'll have to go Bobby's shirt with the pocket.
What, where he drops it down and gives it the old...
Yeah, you'd have to go the nipple pocket shirt. It's just iconic. What else would you go?
It's probably still the same. A piece of the Circus Tavern carpet.
Yeah, we can date you some of that, Phil. It's fine.
That's what I said. Would you go and get some?
I'd want something a bit obscure in there, like, I don't know, from the Judd of Water that Colin Lloyd launched across.
A Steve Hine muffin. Andy Hamilton's hammer.
Yeah. A Sid Waddell microphone.
Yeah. If you're going bored, I've just had a great shout. You've got to go Lloydie's that he punched because it's bent.
Is there any blood on that one? No, from the bench.
Paul Lim's United States 9 Data shirt, yeah.
The Bob Anderson horse.
Yeah. Or just taxidermy the fucker. Lol joke, he's an Iceland burger somewhere.
I'd want a little screen in mine and it playing a GIF of Derwin Price doing his little dance in Blackpool. Just on a huge projector. Just over and over and over again.
The stop and go sign from the German Super League during COVID. Yes!
100%.
That's the new sort of shit we want.
Yes.
Oh, I want the swords that Chris Mason and Mervyn King did their promo fight with before they played at the side.
Oh.
Barry Bates' spine.
Oh, Price ear defenders.
Price's ear defenders. Yes.
Oh, I love this. This is a mint question.
Couple of bats.
The Mike Gregory larder from the very first WDC winners tournament.
Yeah. The A.D. Lewis slot machine. Any more? Citadel Robin Hood hat, yeah. Taylor's dummy spout. Cappy's towel that he launched.
Oh,
Any more? Peter Wright's grid suit, good shout. Right, we'll move on from that one.
If anyone's done any more, just throw them in for the last 12 minutes, even if we're mid-conversation.
Yeah, we'll just...
Speedboats, 100%. 100%.
Bullseye speedboat on the streets of Tamworth somewhere.
Did anyone work out how they were going to share a fitted kitchen between two people to this day?
No idea. I think we sort of covered this. Is Nathan Aspel giving up the Players' Championship? Doesn't care about being at the finals. We've sort of done that one now, so I'll move that one. What's this one? You mentioned players this afternoon about sponsor shirts. Price wears a shirt to suit event to stop the booze. What's your thoughts?
Clever marketing.
He needed to do something, didn't he? It's the
Yep.
ultimate.
Very clever.
Just clever marketing that worked. Because I remember that in Dublin this year especially, they started to boo him when he walked on, just like you do. Then realised he had the green Ireland shirt on with the clover on and started cheering him.
Can we just go back to obscure dying objects, please? Because some of these are brilliant. Rod Harrington's waistcoat. Adam Smith Neal's crutch. Phil Taylor's earring. The Bulls moustache. Actually getting an Adam Smith Neal shirt after someone bought one.
Oh.
Model swimming costume running down Blackpool Beach. Christ. There's got to be more somewhere.
We will add this to our socials tonight or tomorrow because we want to hear more.
Yeah.
We need more. And we'll definitely read out more next Monday because it's a great question.
Am I going to play in the World Championships? I'll be at the World Championships, but I won't be anywhere near the stage.
You'd play in the Dodd and Duff World Championships. You've said that before. The online darts World Championships. Are you favourite for that? Are you favourite for that, Dob?
Yeah, obviously. Colin Lloyd's water jug. Richie Burnett's radiator.
The old pot noodle.
Oh. Andrew Gilding's hotel iron.
Oh, let's
No, I've got it. Daryl Gurney's iPad.
somewhere in a Needenhausen forest.
That fucker. Get it gone.
I like that.
Massive foam Waddell had. Yeah.
I like there's some belters there.
And just a highlight reel of every single sports person, football team, or influencer that use the phrase "who's in charge, me or the devil" in the space of 6 months.
And then instantly tried to delete it. I remember when that came out, because a couple of boys in our WhatsApp chat were like, "Oh, this is funny," and we were like, "Do not share it under any circumstances. You will regret this."
Yes. I like this one. Let's move on. If we get any more, we get any more. The 5 best 180 celebrations, says Matthew.
The Brendan Dolan chopper.
Bob Anderson is number 1.
Yeah, the finger point.
Dolan's chopper. Ross Smith's neck. Just huge roll.
The Mentor Sudovic double headbutt. One, it was only okay. The double one, he was loving it.
Dyson parody. There we go. What a boy. And Mardle's an exhibition when he does a lap.
Can we put Robies in before he's even hit it?
Who was the guy at Lakeside?
Pallet. No, not
that
Pallet.
was absolutely pissed up. But put the first 2 in there, picked his dart up, gave it the old big Billy bollocks, and went and dragged it into the 5.
Who was that?
I can't remember what his name was, but
Was it Pallet on the Euro Tour that left 170, hyped them up, and then hit the big 18?
yeah, ultimate shithousery.
Ricky Evans celebration, jackpot shoulder shrug, as if to say, yeah, do that all the time.
Yeah. To be fair, when he got the 9 and he gave it the shoulder shrug was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got this.
Gilding from Swedish. It wasn't Sewani, was it?
Yeah, he was Swedish. What was his name?
It wasn't Peter Sewani, was it?
I can't remember, but I just remember that he put the first 2 in there.
Was it Sewani? Yes, I want his T-shirt about a gorilla not being able to putt.
This is what happens when the show's not prepared, by the way. We don't...
We are for the 10.
Completely.
That's it, Rob. Him.
Runa David.
To be fair, normally we plan it, but the fact we've had 2 Pro Tour streams, we literally had an hour in between Pro Tour stream and coming on here. We didn't really get a lot of time to plan tonight's show. Let's be fair.
I'm going to bed. Get me out of here.
But
the problem I'm going to have tonight, you say that, Dob, like, oh, I'm going to bed. I'm just going to be lay there thinking about obscure darting moments and thinking, what can I put in my museum? And it's going to be totally random.
look,
what a moment that was, Niall, the wartime of the Chinese player to raise me up. With no fans in there.
To be fair, I don't know. Mace might know the dartboard that you and Phill used for the first 9 darter in the PDC on Sky. Someone would have taken it, or someone must have that, surely. Dirk's aubergines from the Worlds.
Please. They might sting by now. All right, one more. Best 5 9-dart celebrations.
Dean Winstanley.
Dino 1.
The Adrian Lewis shoulder shrugs is to say, no,
Yeah, so nonchalant. 2.
Yeah.
I think Kyle's first is up there, you know.
Yeah, but I was also going to add in there, it's hard to just class it as a celebration alone because of listening to it, but the MVG Blackpool with Freddie doing the commentary as a combination. I know we're looking at celebration here, but that as a whole, probably the bottom end. Oh, yeah.
Willie Borland's.
Willie Borland's.
Willie to win it was unbelievable. One more. Ball and Lewis, Winstanley, Kyle.
I would have MVG.
MVG for Freddie. James Wade. Just not even acknowledging it.
Yeah. Just taking him out. Cheers.
We had any more?
Oh, to be fair, I like the Robert Thornton little bow at the that was like quirky but classy. I like that. Gave it to his mate who had a bet on the 9, I think. Cool. Yeah, I say it must be someone would have kept it. It just wouldn't have gone in the normal board stash. When did Taylor start signing the boards after games? He kind of always done it. But at the time, he was the only player that could get away with it as well. Because weren't those stage boards then used for floor events and things like that, like practice boards and back in the day? But everyone, thank you very much. Yeah, look, yes, we've gone off on a bit of a tangent tonight, but that's what happens when we come off straight off a Pro Tour stream. But we couldn't let you lot down. It's what we do. We come in, we get on with it. We are back tomorrow, myself and Gob, from 1 o'clock, the final of the block of 3 Pro Tour streams. Gob's going to ring in sick.
The Saudis have done him.
Yeah, I've that he's disappeared overnight for insulting the kingdom. But
I don't have to answer my phone now. I've got an excuse.
But everyone, thank you very, very much as always. This will be available as audio only as always. But I'm with Phill Bars, Jack Garwood, Lee Boyce. It's been a pleasure, gentlemen, as always. And we will be back tomorrow streaming the Pro Tour. And we'll see you all very, very soon.
Take me home, take me on a ride. I got a good feeling about the colors lighting up your eyes. Take me home, take me